So in Halo 2, there is a giant pink plasma ball attached to this building, and I couldn't find a single instance of anyone ever exploring it. So can I? Let's give it a shot! So this pink plasma ball is located on the same building that is on two missions, both Gravemind and High Charity. Now, although I am not quite sure the purpose of this pink plasma ball, I would assume it's something like an energy generator. I tried to find the answer to what exactly the purpose of this thing was, and I couldn't find it. So if you actually know, let me know in the comments. Anyways, I'm not so concerned about the lore of this pink plasma ball, as I am interested in getting to it somehow. Now, this is extremely challenging, and for that reason, I've looked at this thing for multiple years and figured, yeah, there's absolutely no way to get to it. The reason for that is, it is insanely far outside of the map, it is a circle, so basically impossible to land on, and honestly, I'm not even sure if there is a solid surface at the top of it that you can explore. But regardless, I decided to test it out. For the purposes of this video, I decided to choose the mission Gravemind. The reason for this is, there is a bridge on the side of the building. On the mission High Charity, this pink plasma ball is all the way at the back of the building with no solid surfaces to get to it. Regardless, I booted up Gravemind and made it all the way to the outside bridge sections. Using a simple grenade jump, I was able to get to the rib-like structure near the top of this to evaluate further whether or not there would be an angle that I could actually get to this pink plasma ball.
I gotta see, no part of this right now looks like you can stand on it, so I gotta see if there's actually, if I can actually get to it.
Now, to get an angle on this ball, I did a curve jump around the top of the structure so that I wouldn't have to go through the normal sequence of events through the missions triggering the checkpoints. I knew that I was going to need at least a couple of checkpoints, so I wanted to make sure that I was conserving all of them.
It looks like there's a little gap, but I might be able to stand up there, but I need to go closer.
So in looking at this ball, I noticed that there was a very small gap that seemed to go towards the top of it. However, at this point, I was a little bit too far away to truly see what I was working with, so I jumped down and got a little bit closer.
I think that's the only spot.
And looking at this ball, the only spot that I could see that I would even consider landable was at the very top. However, there is a structure covering this ball. And to get to the top of it, there's only a very small gap, so I would need basically a perfect trajectory to get there if I even could. I walked to the next rung and considered that being on the tops of these structures might be my best bet for launching to them. On the bottom, there's just a lot of items, buildings, structures, a lot of stuff to hit your head off of. And to get to this, I was going to need a straight shot.
This spot actually might be good right here. I think that might be a little bit too close and at the wrong angle. That's a tiny gap.
Now, while standing on the top of this, I evaluated other places that I might be able to launch from. And I thought about the top of the building in front of me, but what I had to consider was that I had to have a very specific angle, and getting closer to the ball to launch might not necessarily be better. Because I needed such a specific angle to get through that gap to the top of the ball, it seemed like in this situation, launching from a little bit further away might actually be the go-to. Now, using the streaking skull, which allows you to get up to double overshields from throwing grenades, I had a second player stand in front of me so I could use the Pinata skull, which allows me to beat plasma grenades out of this player, to create a giant plasma grenade stack. I knew that I would need at minimum 20 to 30 plasma grenades in a nice pile.
I think this is enough. This is probably excessive, 20 grenades. But I do need enough power to basically go right to that little gap. So we'll see what happens.
The reason I would need this many is because I needed it to be powerful enough to basically send me in a straight line to the top of this ball. I shot this entire plasma grenade pile into one unified plasma grenade.
Now, to my knowledge, I don't know if there's ever been anyone that has actually explored this purple ball before. Well, if it's even explorable. I don't even know if it's solid. You can see right through it.
I sent my second player, which I was also controlling, back through the mission. Because I went on the top of these structures, I saved checkpoints that you would trigger normally. Before I had the second player get a checkpoint, however, I had to remember to throw grenades off the edge so that I got up to double overshields so I would actually survive this blast.
Okay, can't forget the overshields. I always forget them. Need to stack up. Can't look away from this pile.
Now, if you've never watched a Halo 2 video of mine in the past, you probably won't know that in Halo 2, if you look away from a pile of plasma grenades outside of the normal 70-degree field of view that comes default in Halo, those grenades will automatically disappear, even if you're standing right next to them. So at all times, I had at least one player looking at this pile. Before I was ready to start attempting to launch this pink plasma ball, I had my second player line me up with the plasma grenade in line with the purple ball. I would need to be throwing it at the correct angle, but I would also need to perform this launch backward. That's the only way that I'm going to be able to go in that direction without getting knocked around by the live plasma trigger grenade. But I got the checkpoint, and now I was ready to pull this off.
Decent aim. Ooh. Okay, I hit the purple ball. Died immediately.
So only a couple minutes into this, I immediately discovered that this pink plasma ball was solid. So I had a chance.
Going right towards it. Maybe if I can get to that lower ledge.
So I didn't realize there was a large ledge behind this pink ball. I thought maybe if I could get to that, it would be easier to get to the top of this thing.
Close. Died. Hit it again. See, the problem with Halo 2 is like when you hit things not going vertically, you don't bounce. Just stop, pretty much. See? This is what Halo 3 I would have bounced right through it. I'm just like slightly off. This might be good. Nope. Come on. No way. Come on, I'm gonna die. Come on. Are you kidding me? Nice. Okay, let's go.
So it took about 30 minutes, but I was finally able to make it to the ledge around the pink ball. But after I got up here, I realized that the challenge was hardly over.
I just realized I made it up, but how am I going to get up even further?
I came to the realization of, well, that ball is really high in the air, so how am I actually going to get to the top of it from here? And then my other player died.
Well, he just spawned on me. That's not good.
So initially, I wanted to have my second player get a checkpoint after I got up here, but obviously because they died, they spawned up here and no checkpoint was going to be available. So I had exactly one option, and it was the most painful option you could think of. Using the Pinata and Streaking Skulls again, I would have to set up individualized plasma grenade piles, but every single time that I would go for the launch, after that pile exploded, I would have to create another one if I didn't make it. So essentially, this is the manual version of trying to get to the top of this ball. And was this going to work? Well, I was not sure. I really only needed one good launch, but I knew that the setup time for each attempt was going to be painful.
Okay, I'm going to try to go over to see if I can snipe some enemies and get a checkpoint.
Before I decided to do this launch, I set up a plasma grenade pile and then had one desperate blast measure. I wanted to see if I could take the beam rifle over to the edge, snipe some enemies, and automatically trigger a checkpoint. But when I walked over there, I found out pretty quickly that the beam rifle shot doesn't reach that far. And so the first stack of plasma grenades I made was excessive, and now I only had one shot at doing this.
Okay, I really only get one opportunity at this.
So, although I made a big plasma grenade stack and it took me an excessive amount of time, about 5 minutes to get it all set up, my one attempt for this failed, so now I was back to square one. Each and every time, I would have to have both players throw a bunch of grenades to get double overshield, beat a bunch of plasma grenades using the Pinata skull out of player 2, and then set them all up in a pile. And even on my quickest attempts, I was only using about 5 to 7 plasma grenades. Still, this took me about 2.5 minutes of setup. And one attempt every 3 minutes? Well, that is not a winning rate. But regardless, I didn't have any other options at this point, so I decided to just keep trying this over and over. After I failed a couple of times towards the center of this ball, I realized that one, even if I got the vertical distance, I don't know if I would be able to make it all the way to the back end of the ball, which seemed like the only area that you could stand on. So for this reason, I went all the way to the edge of this walkway, towards where the slanted surfaces start to go up. This is where I had my second player set up, and every time I would set up a plasma grenade stack, I would send the second player far enough away so they wouldn't die from a random explosion.
Okay, I'm going up to higher ground to try to launch more directly at it, instead of up and over. Damn it. What? Went the wrong direction. It's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
So yeah, this really wasn't going that well at this point. I decided to take a break because this was just exhausting. I came back and decided, you know what, I was just going to try to see if I could do this. So I bit the bullet, and every attempt that you see had roughly 5 minutes of setup time beforehand.
I accidentally reverted. Nice.
So if I would have landed about 3 inches higher, I would have made it to a surface that I believe you could have stood on that pink ball. I was so frustrated by the fact that I barely missed it that I naturally reverted to the last checkpoint. Well, the last checkpoint was my previous pile, which was nowhere near the pink ball. So because I reverted to the last checkpoint, I decided to keep my original setup. However, I went and got a brute shot and then had my second player go forward to get another checkpoint. I figured if I got the brute shot to that ledge that I was on previously, maybe I could grenade and brute shot launch all the way to the top easily. However, in almost 45 minutes of attempting this, these were the closest ones that I had.
Come on. Come on.
I wasn't able to make it a single time.
Motherfucker.
So with over 2 hours wasted so far at this point, I had exactly one last ditch effort plan. I was going to go even further on these gravity bridges and see if I could just straight up launch to the top. No workarounds, just one perfect launch.
Come on. Didn't get high enough. I need to miss that ball. That was so fucking close. Come on. Yes! You congratulating me? We all gotta celebrate now. Oh my gosh. You beautiful puppies. The beautiful puppies. Alright guys, I gotta explore, I gotta show everybody this. Okay, check it out. Whoa. Check it out though. This is crazy. Can't really tell. The second player is, in the new graphics, the anniversary graphics, the second player is like, that actually looks sick. Focus on my bile share, man. It is solid. You can stand on top of it, but only the top half of it is standable. So like, I think if I go down this ledge, I will actually fall off the thing. Oh, wait, it's a little bit steeper than I thought initially. Wow, it looks really cool. Dude, they actually made grenade physics to interact with this thing. That's crazy. Wow.
So as it turns out, Bungie made this giant pink plasma ball interactable.
Can you believe that? They made this thing interactable and you were never supposed to get to it.
The little sprites of different colors that you see that look like little electrical static, that isn't normally there for a grenade explosion, so that means that this pink plasma ball has interactable grenade physics, which is crazy. So maybe they did expect someone to get up here at some point.
It's like deceiving. It looks like I'm running really fast, but I'm actually not moving much. Okay, I'm gonna deployable cover slide all the way down to the bottom of this. This part by far looks the coolest. It'll go like dark and then super light. Now it's super dark. This looks so much lamer on the anniversary graphics. Okay, it looks pretty cool when you get to the top, but okay, yeah. Woo! One is like a rushing river and the other is like a lava pool. I mean, they had to have, if they put physics up here, they had to have expected somebody to come up here. This is awesome, dude. I just want to stay up here all day. It took me all day to get up here.